Hi, welcome back. So, what we want to talk about today is some aspects of entrepreneurship. So, we're going to look at some of the things concerned with creating a startup and look at an innovative way to create your startup and to look at value in your app, in your entrepreneurship and program development. So, let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. Okay, so what I have here is the Lean Launchpad. So Lean Launchpad is a method for creating your business and verifying the viability of a product. So let's talk a little bit about business creation and entrepreneurship. So first of all, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is more than just an idea. It is actually creating something from that idea. So when you watch, if you've ever watched the TV show Shark Tank, one of the things that they look to do is invest in people and ideas. So people come there and present their great invention or their idea for a business. But one of the things you'll notice is that they typically don't invest when it's only an idea. They say, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. Come back to us when you have a business. So let's talk about how we get from an idea to an actual business that can make money. And so again, that's the idea versus the company. So just having an idea, anybody can have an idea, but it takes a lot more to take that idea and create a company around it. So the difference is the company is making money. It has a product that has been tested for revenue and market verified. So it has customers, and the customer should be purchasing the product from the company. So executing on the idea and connecting with customers, that's what it's about. And so let's talk about how we're going to do that with our app, with our idea for a new app that we want to develop. So we'll look at this tool here. So this is called the Lean Launchpad. So the LLP is what it's abbreviated as, the Lean Launchpad approach. And what it is it's a methodology for discovery. So again, having an idea, from an idea to business, involves having customers. And with those customers, you should be able to get them in touch with the product and be delivering something to them. So the LLP is a methodology for that discovery. So what's new about LLP? What does the Lean Launchpad do that other methodologies don't do? It recognizes the difference between a new product and within a business and that of a startup. So when you think about it, an example would be a new company versus a company that is going to create a new product. So if Ford is going to come out and they're going to create a new hatchback, then that's a lot different because they've already sold cars and they know how to sell cars, and they have dealerships and they have salesmen and they have advertising and they have everything in place to sell that new car, that hatchback. But a startup doesn't have that. They just have the idea and maybe an invention, and they want to go from there. So the Lean Launchpad approach is developed for these startups to be a viable startup and become a company as quickly as possible. So typically, when you create a business or you have an idea, they're going to say, well, you need to create a business plan. And that's what people are told with new business ideas. They say, go out there and create a business plan. And so you can go online and look, and there's lots and lots of ways to create a business plan. But this is typically not the best approach for a startup or somebody with a new invention. So what's in the business plan? It's a bunch of guesses, some good and some that are way off. So before you've created your business, before you've really started producing your app or your item or your product that you're going to sell, everything is a guess, and that's what the business plan is. You're going to guess that I'm going to sell this many things, I'm going to create a factory, and you lay it out, and those are all guesses because you don't know. You haven't created the business yet. You don't But what happens is when the business tries to start up, everyone ends up sticking to the plan. So you've got this great business plan. Investors have looked at it, they like it, they want to invest money in it, they've thrown down money, and people show up to work. And the first thing they want to do is say, okay, well, let's use that business plan that we came up with and let's stick with it. Um, and that's what most people do. They'll start with that business plan. And if they have any initial success, they're going to stick to that business plan. But you have to ask, how many business plans actually fit the execution going forward? How many people starting off before business starts can say, these steps are going to happen and I can execute everything and this is the way my business is going to work? So you can have a plan, but same with generals in battle, they say every plan, no plan survives the first 5 minutes of battle because everything changes. And that's what happens with a business. When you're starting it up, you have some ideas, but you'll soon find out that things change. And so when people start sticking with the business plan, it kind of locks them in to maybe the wrong kind of thinking and the wrong path for the business. So very few business plans fit what is actually happening once the business gets going. Whose fault is that? Well, it's nobody's fault. Is it the plan or the people? Well, the people are just going by the plan, and the plan initially gets approved. So it seems like it's nobody's fault, but it's really just the design to say, hey, we're going to create a business without starting a business, without doing anything, and laying out a rigid plan and then trying to stick with that as the business grows and the product starts rolling out. So one of the things that LLP does is it gives you flexibility in design. So the typical business plan gets doomed because it's not flexible and can't change based on observed facts. So if you have this great business plan and once you start executing it, it may be very obvious that some of these parts of these plans are not going to occur. Maybe your plan says you're going to produce your product in 6 months. You'll have it on the store shelves and start selling it and start distributing it at that. But it may turn out to be that once you start looking at the product and the suppliers and the manufacturer, that product is no way going to be on the shelves, on the customer shelves in 6 months. If you try and stick with the plan, it's bound to fail. And so you have to have that flexibility. And it's not flexible, and it's not the problem of the plan is because the plan was just a guess. It was just a starting point, and it's not based in observed fact. It was planned before a company started. Company got started. Now the plan isn't correct because it was there before the company came along. So it's not flexible enough. And see, this is the big idea of the Lean Launchpad approach, is that you need to be flexible in the initial phases of your startup to be able to adapt and to change to certain things. And one of the things we call is a pivot. The pivot is when you have an idea and it's not working and you say, okay, well, let's try something different. And we're going to pivot our startup focus to this. Okay, and we'll talk about pivots later. But pivot is one of the aspects of flexibility that you have to have when you're creating that business. You have to be able to pivot. Don't stick on that same idea if it's not working. Look for other opportunities, and if they're bigger than what you anticipated originally, then you can pivot to those newer ones. So the idea of the Lean Launchpad is based on what's called a business model canvas, okay, that can be changed and layered. So the idea behind the word canvas is that it's changing. You can paint on it, you can erase it, you can redraw on it, you can paint it all black or all white and start all over again. So you're not locked into what you have. So you create this canvas and it should be able to change based on what you observe, what you learn, and what you find out as your company and your product start rolling out. So this is the methodology of the LLP versus the business plan. So it's all about discovering your customers and a value proposition, which we'll see here shortly. So I have here some links that you can view. They're fairly short links, 2 or 3 minutes, by Steve Blank and some other people that originally produced this Lean Launchpad approach. So you can look at what the business model canvas is, explains a couple minutes, and how to innovate your business plan. That's 3 minutes. And I'll eventually put these links in the PRS for this week. But if you get to this point, remember you can just go to the slides and the links will be in there as well. So again, the idea is flexibility in design. If you use a lean launchpad approach, your actual business plan can have a much better, will have much better odds of succeeding, since this design is going to be challenged, tested, refined, and verified before execution. So one of the great things of engineering is the idea of continuous improvement, quality improvement, and refining something. So just because you built something that works, you don't leave it alone and never touch it again. You come up with other ideas to make it better, refine it, and make the process better. And so that's the flexibility in design that the Lean Launchpad is going to give us, is we're going to look at how we can execute and be flexible in the execution of the business. So changes still take place. The process doesn't become static until it has been optimized and utilized. So again, until you really are in business and doing the business and doing it right, then you need to be flexible and look at how it changes. So a lot of the business aspects won't change too much for this class, because we are going to be designing a mobile app, and that really makes a lot of things in the business process easier, and we'll see that shortly. So what is the Biddlemon business model canvas? Here's a drawing that shows you the key aspects. And there's 9 components. And you don't have to focus on all 9 components. We'll look at the first couple to start with, and then we'll adapt this to the needs of the app development program. And then again, that's the whole idea, is to be flexible in your design. So we've got 9 key aspects. The first is the value proposition. Number 2, customer segments. 3, channels. 4, customer relations. 5, revenue streams. 6, key resources. 7 and 8, key partners and key activity. And then number 9 is the cost structure. So again, you can be flexible with this, utilize the ones that you think are most important for your business approach. So this is how a company creates value for itself while delivering products or services for the customers. Okay, so here's another drawing of the business model canvas with a little more detail as to what each of these categories are. And we'll go even deeper into it, but let's look at this. So the value proposition, first of all, this is number 1. Why is it important? Well, which of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? Okay? Customers look for products to solve, to fix pains, to get rid of pains that they have, or to give them gains, okay? And we'll look at that more in depth as well. So which customers' needs are we satisfying? What are we doing for the customers? What are the key features of our product that match the customer need and problem? So there could be a problem and our product fixes that problem. And we need to understand the problem very well and understand our solution for the problem and match those together. And that will help the value proposition. Number 2 is the customer segment. You can't have many sales unless you have customers. So you need to understand who the customers are, who are our most important customers, what are their archetypes, and what job do they want us to get done for them. So when you start to think about the customers of your product or your app, you need to narrow it down to who is really going to be using it, have a better idea of what demographic is going to be using your app. You may think everybody in the world is going to use it, but typically it's focused into a certain group. It could be a very broad group, but still there's a certain group that you're going to try and target to begin with, and then you go from there. Okay, and we'll look at that in more depth as well. Channels, through which channels do your customer segments want to be reached? How do you get through to them? Again, that's easy with the app world. Customer relationships, how do you get those customers and keep the customers? We know that's important as consumers. The revenue streams, how do you make money? We'll talk about different ways to make money. But remember, with the app approach, there's 3 key ways to do it. 1 is through sales on the app. 2 is through ads or ad revenue. And 3 is to create something inside your app that requires purchasing. So you can have a free app with pay for features built in. Okay, or again, a video game or something like that where people want to buy levels or coins or whatever there is to bring in revenue. Okay. 6, the key partners. Who are key partners and suppliers? This is always very important. For us, our key partner for the app development is going to be the Google Play Store, because they are going to take care of 90% of the business aspects of it for us. Okay, key activities. What key activities do we require? Manufacturing, software, supply chain. For the app, it's probably just going to be software development. Resources. You know, again, depending on what type of product you're selling, you could have a lot of physical resources, a lot of key resources, finances, and things like that. And then 9, finally, the cost structure. What are the most important costs inherent in your business model? What's fixed, what's variable? So in other words, what do you have to pay for, and what are you going to make your profits on? Okay. So this is the very basics of the business model canvas. Remember, the Lean Launchpad uses the business model canvas to give us a flexible structure as we start to look at the value proposition and do customer discovery. Okay. So I'm going to end this video on this slide here, and I will come back. Let me see here. Okay, so we're back, and I'm going to end the video here, and when we come back, we'll continue looking at the business model canvas, the Lean Launchpad, and we will look at the value proposition.